Welcome to Super Woo Radio, where we are awakening into being free and sovereign. It's a place where minds hurt and hearts sing as we break through the barriers that have been holding us back. Be prepared to have belief systems confronted as we take the journey of the truth seeker for answers to life's biggest questions. Remember, truth is stranger than fiction, so come along for an awareness expanding experience with George and his amazing guest. Here on Super Woo Radio.
Hello and welcome, magnificent Earth humans and all you other wonderful beings throughout the universe, listening to our multi-dimensional broadcast here on Super Woo Radio, episode number 33. After a plethora of wonderful feedback from many of our listeners, Patricia and I have decided to join together once again for the creation of part 2 of our Universal Dialogue. Passion is probably the best descriptive for this episode as we venture further into the territory of sharing the knowledge and the wisdom that truly breaks the chains, breaks through the barriers, and exposes the deceptions that are holding us and our human race in bondage. This conversation is not just another exercise in feeding the mind, nor entertaining it, but rather a dialogue that speaks straight from and to the soul. So please, make yourself at home, sit back, get comfy, and enjoy this intriguing and paradigm-breaking universal dialogue. Patricia Farrington, welcome back to Super Woo Radio.
George Kavasilis, thank you for having me again.
Well, that sounded all so formal, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. What a day.
Oh, it's fantastic. The 4th of July, and feels like we're injecting a nice little light bomb back into the Matrix today.
Oh, we definitely are. As we both know, the Matrix kind of has fought me, at least, for even attempting to be here tonight. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like you've been getting worked on by the sound of it. You feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm feeling good talking to you because you have a very calming energy. But just so that everyone knows, about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States, which would have been 2 hours prior to the interview that George and I were going to be doing, I started getting dizzy, lightheaded, nausea. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't, but I did have to go to the restroom a few times, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do tonight. And my husband kind of gave me a pep talk and encouraged me, and so I'm here, and I feel really good about it. And I know the Matrix is obviously a little ticked off, but you know what? We created it, we deal with it, we enjoy it, and we do what we have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you and I had such a fantastic discussion last time.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to help a lot of people, which is
Yes.
our intended outcome is to provide information that is beneficial to people, that they can get this information in a way that is more understandable, more comprehensible. And I love it because the way you ask me questions and there's a little bit of knowing too that you and I have gone into other worlds in other times and we, busted the systems there and we're kind of doing it again here. So there is that camaraderie and that familiarity in doing this kind of work. So that's why it's great to be hooking up with you and getting stuck into our fundamental purpose and doing this great work together again. Good on you.
Oh, thank you so much. George, I love you. I just think that that you are.
People need to understand what you mean by that too when you say I love.
Yeah.
Because this world has got the way we've been, and we had this discussion earlier prior to our actual recording. And, this issue of when people say they love each other, it's like when I go into my country town, for example, and I start really connecting deeply with a person, you can see that, and like say there's a woman serving me in one of the local shops, for example, all of a sudden you can see how uncomfortable they begin to get because I'm engaging with them on such deeper levels they're not used to. Mm-hmm. And they completely take things the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, well, exactly. Well, I had someone recently that shared how he had connected with me, and I just said, I did understand the connection, but I also said that I didn't bring it into his awareness for the simple fact that most people use that as a pickup line. I mean, they do say they try to get into your realm, so to speak, with bad intentions. And so sometimes I just don't bring it up, and when I know that it's absolutely a perfect time to bring it up, I do. But I'm very aware of what you're saying, and like you said, we talked about it earlier. So when I was saying I just love you so much, I love the way that you opened our discussion, and when you had recommended in the past, or when you suggested, hey, you might ought to interview me, I was like, okay, but I'm not an interviewer, so I didn't really know how to, but then it just came so naturally. And so this time around, this was my suggestion because I was like, hey, it's the 4th of July. Things that are taking place in America right now are the fireworks, the patriotism, all the national anthems that are being sung. It's like God, country, family, and everything has a specific purpose and agenda for the Matrix and the way that it's all meshed together in this particular country. And so I was like, so what a great idea to bring a little bit of rebellion into the paradigms.
You rebel, you.
That are clearly about control and feeding the energy snatchers.
Yep.
So, like people are going to be literally, this would have been my experience here in America on the 4th of July, cookouts, baseball games, fireworks. We're actually taking our hands and pressing them against our hearts and pledging allegiance to the country, national anthems that everybody's strangers that any other day of the week could murder one another are holding hands in unison, loving in oneness, right?
Yeah.
And just tearful and all this emotion. And it's like, this is just like, you're just feeding all this energy and you're growing the very thing that's attacking you. So it's very different for me now. And so people will say, I get texts and phone calls, happy 4th of July. And I'm like, oh, what do I say? I'm like, thank you. What are you doing? Well, I'm kind of rebelling. I'm eating Chinese tonight. What are you doing? I'm actually doing an interview tonight. Oh, you're not going to a baseball game? You're not going to see fireworks? Nah, I'm not doing the fireworks thing because, fireworks are beautiful, but they are completely a disruption to everything. As beautiful as they are, animals go nuts. They, people that don't secure them, they break out of their environment and they get lost. And the ones that are indoors shake and urinate all over themselves and are in fear. So, I mean, it's obviously a disruption, but the beauty of it is like hypnotic.
Yeah, and you think, well, we've got all this fantastic holographic technology. Why can't they just start using that?
Yeah.
So they don't have to have
there you go. Yeah.
food noises involved.
Yeah. Exactly. So, well, George, tonight is going to be a little different because last go around I really was diving into subjects that were pertinent to a lot of people that I'm close to and that I interact with. And tonight I still want to do that, but there has to be a little bit of an acknowledgement of you. And I'm not putting you on a pedestal. I'm not creating any kind of worship. People tend to create people look for a savior. People look for someone to follow. People look for someone outside of themselves because it's natural. We're all struggling from insecurity. We're all struggling from feeling unworthy. It's just part of the process with all the experiences that we've had, being in separation and the compression. And you've really touched hearts deeply. And we want to thank you for that. When I say we, it means people that I know that love and support you in what you do. And it's very important to me for you to know this. And part of my interest in interviewing you has to do with reconciliation for some people with themselves over their choice of belief systems, really. I feel it's painful for them to talk about, but the only way for them to heal is to talk through this, to hear from you, to just find their own to find their own sovereignty again, to remember their sovereignty, to understand their sovereignty, understand their choices in life, that nothing was forced upon anyone. We all chose our experiences. And you're just loved and respected by so many, and you need to know that. And so everybody in general is just like, we love it on our inner self is the fractal. Our atoms are the stargates. Wow. Everyone, George, loved. Every cell in your body is a galaxy, and every nucleus of every atom in your body is a stargate. I mean, you blew people away. They loved it.
Yeah, that's home. That hit home, and I had a private discussion with a friend of mine last night, and I shared it with her, and she was saying how her body just went into this activation mode. Mm-hmm. When we were discussing that, and she described what she was experiencing, and it's exactly what I experience when I focus in on the way my life force and also my consciousness is flowing through that pathway. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's a really very high energy, crispy, sort of clean, tingling feeling that goes through the body. It's really quite amazing.
So that's what I wanted to say to you, that for me to share those comments, I didn't want any praise for myself. I didn't want anything other than for you to understand and know. And I know you have a lot of knowings and intuitions and feelings about things, but I really wanted you to hear it, and I wanted to express it in a way that it would get to be brought back to the people that support you, so they know that you know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they need to know that you know that.
Yeah, and I'm really, truly grateful for all that acknowledgement and all that love and support I'm receiving graciously here.
Okay.
Am I feeling uncomfortable about it? No, because I know the genuine nature behind it.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, it's all good, and I'm moved, very moved by it all.
Oh, great.
And I'm very... and humbled is another appropriate descriptive right now. Very humbled by it all.
Okay. Well, I knew I was going to put you on the spot, and I knew that I thought it might be uncomfortable. I'm so glad you said it's not, because I just really didn't want it to be. But I just know that it's a sensitive subject for you, but just because people did put you on a pedestal and then they created all these expectations, people put all these expectations on one another that can just not be met. And we have to understand that we've all gone through what I would say I don't really want to say a sleeping process. I want to say a process of not remembering, so that we could experience this. Because if we really did know who we were, we wouldn't even have time for this. I mean, we'd be like, yeah.
And I also just want to say that, there's a lot of people that write to me all the time, and I just don't have the time and the energy to be answering everybody, and I really do apologise, even though there's no apology required. On one part level of me does want to apologise, because I would like to interact with everybody who tries to get in contact with me, but the reality is I just don't have the energy and the time to fulfill the role that people would like me to fulfill for them. I can't be that which you want me to be and you would like me to be, because it's just not real. It's not practical. I have my own private life I need to tend to, and I just can't. And I don't have it. And I appreciate the emails I get from people. I appreciate the comments, but the amount of requests that people want for me to talk with them, to connect with them, and some people write in a manner and fashion that they're expecting me to get back to them, and then some people get quite angry when I don't, and that's sad, because they had some sort of expectation, and that's quite controlling of them, really, in the way some people write to me. And for those people who do that, I just want you to know that I don't have the time and the energy to be answering everybody. I'm already at my maximum, and I just really don't have any more energy to give. So I'm doing the best I can. I'm just a normal person like everybody else. After you and I finish from this discussion, I'm going to go put a load of washing on. And then get on with some painting, Yeah. And then I'll probably do the editing tonight, start the editing tonight. So that's, people just need to realise, and I don't sit at my computer 24/7, and I just wanted to share that, just to bring a bit of perspective into people's lives, because people have different ideas about the kind of roles that people like myself are playing. And I'm already doing my best to serve in the best way that I can.
Well, and thank you so much for saying that. And I agree. And people, they really needed to hear that. They did. And so I thank you for sharing that. I'm not a George. And as far as I haven't been out in the public, I haven't, I haven't written a book. I haven't put out the presentations that you have, the videos and all the things that you have. And just from interviewing you, I got bombarded, but I can't even respond sometimes. But how do you feel about talking about oneness?
Yeah, that's a really big subject, isn't it? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go. I'm good to go with anything
right.
I want to bring up, because yeah, you and I can nut things out pretty well. So let's have a go at oneness. Ask me a good question about oneness.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that I do, and I'm gonna what generated the need for me to discuss this was an experience that I had with one particular person, but I also have a huge realm of friends that are also, experiencing this as well. But what I'm going to do a lot, anytime I ever talk to you, and I do this, so many people that love you to death haven't even read your book. And that was surprising to me, because I didn't know you other than, I guess it was 2011, maybe? Yeah, 2011-ish, early 2012. I can't remember exactly, when I started looking at your material. And it was just I listened to one or two interviews. Then I was like, oh, he's got a book coming out. I'm going to wait for the book. I didn't go listen to every video that you had produced at all. right away resonated, and I waited for the book.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked at how many people that haven't read the book still get you so well. So anyway, this is going to be so interesting to you, I think. Okay. You have had a huge impact on a young man that's in his early 20s in Poland, okay? I'm going to pronounce his name the best that I can. I'm not going to pronounce his last name at all because I don't think I can, but his first name, I think, is Maciej. And I've been conversing with him ever since our last interview, because when you had shared every cell in your body is a galaxy and every nucleus of every atom in your body is a stargate, that really got his attention. He didn't even listen to the interview. So I thought that was so funny. He didn't listen to the interview. He hasn't read your book at all. But he went through a very dark, traumatic time in his youth. I mean, very dark, where he was basically in high school shunned by his peers, started going down a path that was really troublesome for him. And he was very isolated, very alone, to the point of like suicide. Yeah. And he started listening to you. He was listening to like David Icke, you, and various other people. Some people I'd never even heard of. And he said that he knew that there was a lot of disinformation. Well, let me say this: his journey of isolation through his trauma is what made him a truth seeker. He knew that there had to be more than what he was experiencing. Yeah. So he started seeking things out. And he didn't even have access to an internet. Like all the kids around him had access to the internet, whatever. So he went and worked his butt off to save money to be able to get a computer to have internet, and that's how he found you. So technology, there you go. And so what occurred was, he said that he knew there was so much disinformation out there, but that what stood out about you to him was that he could feel you. He could feel your heart, and he trusted your wisdom, like he knew you were real. Wow. And this is someone that's just a young guy in Poland, doesn't know you, hasn't read your book, just listened to multiple people, and you stuck out the most to him. He also heard you say at one point something about the I am. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something about the I am. So what happened, like when you start hearing about the I am, that's it's real, it's genuine, it's us, but it's also a part of religion, because religion uses the I am. I am that I am. That's in Hebrew. Let's see. I think it's I can't remember how to say it now. Asher, A-A-E, something like that. It's like I am that I am. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the comments and statements and questions I hear is that I am wanted to experience self. So he parted thanks to brain, which makes an illusion of separation. He knows that there's no division between me, you, and the other person. Basically, it's like one creator having the illusion of all the other individuals. So this is huge. I mean, this is something that is continuously being propagated over and over again. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is I just want to read a little bit from your book. I've written down so much, but I'm going to read a little bit just to start it off, and then I'm going to be quiet and let you talk, and then maybe I'll add some more. But you said the pineal gland is where the many programs propagating the concept of oneness originate from. Yes, we are all one in the sense of unity, harmony, and synchronicity, but the concepts of oneness that are being disseminated by these programs are promoting more of a collective hive mind construct. When I use the term collective hive mind, I am using it in the context of a beehive or an ant colony. These are the types of oneness programs that the gods and their archons have created. Some people say there is the infinite one, or the one infinite creator, but that too is a contradiction. That is a perspective from people who are enmeshed within the more sophisticated programs of this God. People also use the term oneness. There is even a planet-wide oneness movement growing rapidly today. This is just another program. These programs keep people thinking that we all come from this one entity, that we have been born or spawned out of this God being, and that we did not exist prior to that moment. It is a perspective that views our soul essence as though it is a cell in our body, and that all our greater essences together make up one single body or being.
That's the answer to the question. It's, wow. Sometimes when I hear back what I wrote, it kind of surprises me sometimes. I really, people need to understand that there is no, in the greater scheme of things, there is no one anything. There is no totality. It is infinite. So there's no one anything. The moment you start thinking the one concept, you are creating a totality. It is encapsulating life, but life is open-ended. There is no one anything. There's no totality. We haven't been born or spawned out of anything. The other notion that we have, and there is this one infinite creator, which is a complete contradiction. And people go, oh, it's just the way we can actually describe it. No. Words have meanings. Words have energy, resonant patterns. It's like when people use the word God, for example, bang, instantly. You know what I just did by uttering that word? Locked into the frequencies of that entity and its creations.
Mm-hmm. I don't even like to use that word anymore.
What descriptives we use are of utmost importance. Languaging is of utmost importance. When you start realizing programs like the God virus and the God program, when you start becoming aware of it in your own languaging, when something happens in people's lives and they go, oh my God,
mm-hmm.
You know, how often do people say that? And if you observe,
every day, all day,
if you observe people around you saying that, and how much, you know, because each time it's said, it's a deposit of energy as well. So it's an economic collective. You know, we're talking about a monetary system on a cosmic level, and then people are there praying, saying, you know, 100 Hail Marys or whatever. You know,
mm-hmm.
they're constantly praying because what they're doing is they're paying out as much as they possibly can, thinking that one day they're, you know, hopefully going to buy their way into heaven. Mm-hmm. Subconsciously, that's what's taking place. So this whole concept of this oneness, it's another version of the God program. It's another take on it. It's the same program. It leads you to the same places within the universe. And as long as we can understand that there is no one anything, no totality whatsoever, that beyond this universe is an infinite isness, is probably, if we have to use descriptives, because we kind of do, that's the closest thing or descriptive terminology that I can use to explain what it is that I'm experiencing. And I assure you that these descriptives do not do it justice. No way. I mean, what we are trying to explain here can only be truly felt. It's like someone else said to me, had a wonderful conversation the other day, and someone said to me, what's the name of God? And I said that, first of all, you just uttered the name of the being who's claiming to be the creator. Mm-hmm. And those three letters, G-O-D, were handed to us by the priestly caste. Mm-hmm. We've gone straight into the big stuff, haven't we? So, you know, by the priestly caste, you know, it's like, where did those letters come from? Who gave us that word?
Right.
And once we begin to realize that, it's like, wow, because no one ever asked that question. That we're actually, and this is for all the Christians out there now, for all the people who see themselves as Christians and they see God as the creator, you are actually worshipping the God, or shall I say the deity of the Pharisees. Mm-hmm. Right? And if anybody knows their scriptures, they're going to realize just how often the Christ warned the people about the Pharisees and their doctrine.
Exact. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right? And it was the Pharisees who conspired with the state system to knock the Christ off, to murder him. So it was all a conspiracy behind the scenes, because he posed a threat to their ruling infrastructure of spiritual domination.
Exactly. Well, I have several other parts that you have written that I'm gonna read, and see, I love reading back to you, because I think, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna read back to him. It's kind of silly because he wrote these words, who knows them. But I always feel like when someone puts back at you what you've written, it gives you time to self-examine and go, wow. Like even for me, if I say something and someone brings it back to me, I'm like, wow, I know I get to express it even deeper, and like I feel like you just did just then. So, because I'm going to go to the religious, like what you just did. I'm going to cover a little bit of the religious aspect here. So you also wrote, I understand due to fractalization, people would think that way. Consequently, they project the same principle as if it applies to all things on all levels of all that is and all that exists, unable to see past this cosmic matrix. Like our spirit exists beyond the cells and physical wholeness of our bodies, so too do we exist beyond the wholeness of this universe and the level of being that created it. Wow. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I'm referring to here, you know.
So maybe we're so enamored with this universal creator's creation that we want to worship it. Maybe we're just enamored by the light universe.
Well, no, not really, because what we're enamored, no, because if you look at all the organic way of life, what's happened is we're becoming enamored by the ego of the God entity, who's imposing its cultural philosophies and spiritual constructs and concepts into the minds of humanity. That's what's going on. The natural order of life in this universe is on the level. You know, there is no issues of ego. The reason why we are suffering from egoic problems, this is the egoic issues the human race currently has, is a direct result of us allowing this God entity, who is suffering from more egoic insanity than any other entity in this universe. It's the pinnacle of ego. It's exactly what it is.
Don't go too far into ego, because that's next.
Right? It's the pinnacle, and then of a distorted ego probably is a bit more. Yeah, distorted. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's better. Really, I'll get into that in a minute, like you said.
Yeah, you can't be mean to the ego, because you're getting ready to praise it later.
Yeah. So basically, we've got egoic insanity happening by this entity. So because it's been here now for thousands of years, implementing its infrastructure, its programs, its systems, its doctrines, then surely the people here are going to be a reflection, of those systems. And the reason why the human race has got so many egoic distorted ego issues is because of that very reason. We are reflecting to one another what is being imposed upon us.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Yes.
Because the moment that system is taken away, you change so fast.
Well, like you said, what is happening with me? Me specifically? The entity around me?
What I discussed before, yeah.
Yes. You see, me and this entity are separate. We're parting ways.
Yes, you are.
And it's creating a little bit of turmoil.
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah. So, and then you went on to say the perspective of our soul essence being born or spawned out of a single God entity is a perspective that comes from exposure to the mind virus programs of this God entity within the cosmic matrix, designed to blur the lines between reality and illusion. These are such big words. See, I didn't even know I was going to even talk about this tonight. Reality and illusion. because
Very
gosh,
powerful
I mean,
words. Very powerful
such
words.
powerful words. Yes, because even people now are torn between whether this is a real reality or an illusion. I mean, this is good. People banter back and forth on this. We banter
Oh, that's a
on.
good one. Oh, gee,
Yeah.
I had this one lady make a comment on my Facebook page, and she was saying that I'm creating the illusionary reality out of my head just like everybody else, and that everybody should be careful, you know,
Yeah.
when listening to what I have to say, because I'm no different. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. I'm actually, more my work is about getting beyond that device called the pineal gland that's in the head, which is creating the illusionary reality, and getting back to what's real. And my human vessel is real. The planet is real. The natural environment is real. There's nothing illusionary about it. And I find it fascinating how people always use this illusionary angle to devalue something.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very subtle process of devaluation, which is really for people who get caught up in the issue of that this is all an illusion. What's happening is your cosmic ego is getting caught up in a program of self-sabotage and subterfuge. That's what's going on. You know, this reality exists because we intended it to. We intended to have an incarnation here because there's something most miraculous and wonderful going on. And when we realize our fractal nature and what we represent, that we're walking universes, and that very soon we're going to be accessing the 0-point fields within our own bodies, think of the immense power we're going to have access to. I mean, come on. You know,
right? Yeah.
When you start looking at that, and then you realize that we are the biggest battery banks walking around the universe, because there is no other race that exists that has the fractal nature that we do. There isn't. We the human race on Earth is the fractal incarnational vessel. Period. End of story. And that's why over thousands of years you've had all these extraterrestrial races that have come here, and they want it. They want a piece of it because they want what we've got what they don't have. And this creation here of the human being on this planet, which is a fractal in itself, is the most valuable resource in the universe, bar none. And the fight for you, for ownership over you and ownership over this planet, is the biggest battle, the biggest fight going on in this universe. And don't underestimate what's going on behind the scenes, because I have more of an aware access to the fights that are going on behind the scenes. The battles that ensue behind the scenes are nothing short of absolutely colossal in magnitude. Colossal. And people are walking around as if, you know, and the campaign to devalue us, to devalue this planet, oh, it's just an illusion, it's all just a holographic illusion, it's all bullshit. That is the biggest deception and the biggest lie, and that is a campaign by all those who are so insanely jealous of who and what we are. And we are the ones that are incarnate into this reality. We created this galaxy, we created this solar system, and we created this planet, and we blended all the genetics of every race in the universe to create one embodiment.
Oh, wow. See, now I've never heard you say that.
We are the creators of the human vessel, and we are the elders, and we are the wisest in the universe, and we are the most powerful beings in the universe, because we are forging a new path of life in this universe. Wow. And all those other entities out there are insanely jealous of us, and they have sent their minions to this world to impose their programs of limitation through their jealousy, and they must, by all means, diminish you. Diminish you.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that is kind of, it's like reverberating all throughout this planet, because I'm hearing this constantly. It's more and more. If it's the God program, it's that you're nothing. You're nothing without God. If you're an atheist, then you're nothing. You're just a speck in the cosmos, because look at everything that exists beyond you. Everything, every program out there is always diminishing the human race. People are even, I mean, you know that, like, we have like animals and stuff on the planet too, and people are even, I don't feel that I'm greater than an animal or lesser than an animal. I just feel like that we are what we are, but people continuously want to elevate everything above us constantly. That's just constantly, daily being put in our face, that we're nothing, we're nobodies, we are the problem. Constantly.
We're not the problem, we're the answer.
No. Yeah, but that's a constant thing.
We are the solution to all the problems in the universe.
Yeah, yeah.
And those who want the chaos to continue and the pain and the suffering to continue are the ones that are doing their best to diminish you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. Because, yes, even those that claim that they want see, I'm finding this, because even those that claim that they want the, they want to be one, they're also like one in harmony and unison, not one as in the one, whatever, one being. They still are creating the chaos. They're still loving the chaos. They don't, it's what they want. They don't necessarily acknowledge it, but it's what they want. And something else that you shared is, you talked about the candy that's on offer. You said another candy on offer is the lure of a collective hive mind philosophy of losing oneself to oneness. I've mentioned earlier that this is one thing to live in harmony and the cohesive oneness of infinite life, but it is another to be lured into a collective hive mind infrastructure no different to that of a beehive or an ant colony. I've even heard that the guru of a major oneness movement on this planet says to his followers that he loves them more than they can ever love themselves. That is pure poison. These are the sick and twisted ways these entities use love against us. It is a great trickery into giving over oneself to nothingness and losing the essence of who you are. Therefore, there is no you, and there is no relevance or validity to your existence here. And there is this taking away of your power and control. They want to control you.
Absolutely. It's all about domination.
Yeah. It's so obvious.
Very obvious. You know, for those that have the eyes to see.
Right. Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, calm down now. That was thanks for taking over there, because I got really wound up then. I couldn't believe how much energy came through me in that moment. When people listen back over the intensity of how I expressed myself, I was crying on this end of the microphone, put it this way.
Well, I mean, George, we all have our experiences. We all have had our encounters with the Matrix and entities in the Matrix, and you know, we know that we signed up for it. We know that we wanted to experience it. We know that as much as we love love, apparently we love the drama and the pain and suffering that comes with it for the experience to appreciate who we are. I mean, there's also, it's kind of like, there's this, for me, there's a longing to remember, to know, to go home, and also a satisfaction in being here and knowing that I know who I am at the same time. I know it's my last incarnation. If I were, like I said to you before, if I was going to be here in another incarnation, I wouldn't be afraid. I've overcome so much that I know there's nothing I can't do. I know I have no reason to fear. I would lovingly embrace whatever comes my way. But at the same time, we also know when to call BS.
Yeah.
You know? And so I will read something else that you've written, and I'll say something, and I'll let you finish it before I go on to ego. You read, I know the statement of there is no you can be a reference to our earthly egos relative to the higher self and beyond. But what we have happening here with these philosophies is an entity who wants not only your energy, but also your identity. And I think you said that earlier when you were getting angry.
Yeah.
It needs to lure you into its collective hive mind because it wants all of you, and for you to have no recollection. That's huge. No recollection. That's huge. And I know this. For there to be no record of your existence and your creation, so that it may take over your identity and therefore your creations as well. What the heck does that mean?
That means everything. First of all, I wasn't angry. I was passionate, very passionate. Because I was feeling the hurt and the love, and the essence of the collective human soul, and what it means to be human in its fullest. Our humanity, the pain of our humanity is what I was feeling, and so with. Can you just ask the last question again, just please? Just the
sure. Of it. Yeah. Well, thank you for clarifying that, because I understood that. Actually, I misspoke when I said that. Let me go. Okay. The specific area. Well, let me just read the whole thing, because that'll make it easier. I know the statement of there is no you can be a reference to our earthly egos relative to the higher self and beyond. But what we have happening here with these philosophies is an entity who wants not only your energy, but also your identity. It needs to include
all your creations. I got it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It wants to take over your identity.
Yeah. So it doesn't just want you as your earthly incarnation. What it wants is your the aspects of you that are incarnate in all of the different races, because a lot of them are rebelling out there within its other systems. It wants all your planetary bodies. It wants all your star systems, and it wants your galactic reality as well. So when you look at the billions of people that are on this planet, which are direct incarnations of billions of galaxies and star systems and planets. Because, don't forget these entities have been around for a long time. So they understand if this is a fractal reality and fractal nature, and they have access to that kind of knowledge, and they also have access to some really incredible technologies, then they're able to trace the energy, the essence of a star. And if they're trying to control that star out there, if they've got like their ships parked around it, and they want to control that star system because they want the planets and they want all the races in those planets, then they're by controlling the star, which is the core foundational consciousness of that reality, by attacking that star, then they're attacking that whole system of reality there. Then they realize who's incarnate on Earth, and then they make the link. Then they're going to attack that being here on Earth, because here is a representation of everything you are out there. So you're here, you're more vulnerable. As a star, you're a pretty strong being. It's not so easy to control a star body. It takes a lot of work and a lot of technology, depending on who the type of expression your star body will have. There's of course there's weaker stars and there's stronger stars and and what have you, but here we're quite vulnerable to them, and they want to control us here, which then they can control all our creations out there, because it's like wagging the dog. It's like the tail here wagging the dog, and that's why the fight over owning us is so much more than people realize. They have so much more to lose.
So let me ask you this. So when you say that, because we know that we're infinite, we're eternal, we have no beginning, we have no end. So when they are doing this, and you're saying they want to control this, and they want to be...
we were discussing, I just need to interject there. Okay, Patricia, because what we're discussing when I'm talking about the stars and the planets and our races and all that is all our creative process. In the great arena of this universe. Right.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. So we're not really discussing our infinite nature here, because they can't control that anyway.
Yeah. That's where I was going. What I was going to say is, so that is what I was trying to say is that is their that's where they, in a way, are deceived because they really feel that they have this power they don't have. That's what I was going to say.
Oh,
Like
sorry. Yeah, I cut in,
yeah,
didn't I?
yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
So I was going to say that's their big illusion or delusion, is that they feel like, oh, we can do this. It's like, and they can't. So it's like,
and when they can, it's only because our soul has let them.
Right. Yeah. So that, like, they can't. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. So it's like, well, what I was going to say is, like, we don't really have to fear that. Now, and I have some other things, like I said, later, because, it's so funny because the way I laid this out to talk to you tonight, you're bringing up things that I plan on talking about later. So I know that this is a perfect flow because I see how you're like, I'm like, no, go there yet, because that's going to come later. But it's great because we're on the same page. And so it's kind of running over. And that's what I was just like, listening to what you were saying. I was like, what's so amazing and incredible about that is they are they are under the delusion that they actually have this power, and they only have the power that we contracted and agreed that they could have, or that we could have, even ourselves. It's so funny.
Exactly.
It's not serious. It's not so serious.
If I want to smite them, I can probably want that all I like, but if it's not in, if their soul won't allow me to do that, it just ain't going to happen.
Exactly. Oh, see, I can't wait to share what I've got later for that. So yeah, exactly. So that's
why our journey through this cause, for those of us who know our journey's coming to an end, that's why I use the word completion. It ain't about ascension.
Exactly.
Ascension is for those who are not completing their journey. Ascension is the deceptive program of people thinking they're going to somewhere higher and greater and God's heavenly realms and all that BS. That's what all that program is about. But no, we're achieving integration and completion here.
Yeah, and many of us, we did fall for the ascension, whether we called it ascension, heaven, whatever. I mean, we did. We went through that process, and so what I say, thank you for the process. Thank you, because and I would just say this in all honesty, I don't know if I said this to you or if I shared it with someone else, but I remember talking to the very last pastor that I had, and his son had said to him, Dad, like, he didn't want to be disrespectful to his dad, but he was like, if heaven is a place where you go and there's like all these clouds and we sit around and we just like float on clouds and we praise God and like play the harp all day, I think that would be pretty boring. I'm not really sure I want to go there. And this, he's talking to his dad, who's a pastor, of course. And it's kind of true. It's like what I came to realize is I was like, really? Like, there comes a point in time when you've explored a universe enough to know that you're over the drama in the universe, that you're done here. Doesn't mean you just want to go like praise God and float on a cloud and play a harp. It means you're off to your next adventure. You want to go on and explore more. You've explored this as much as you can, and you're done. And so it's not about a lack of appreciation. It's not about a lack of love. It's the opposite. It's an appreciation, a love, and an awareness, and knowing, and knowing that it's time to go. And there's no fear. There's no anger. There's no fear. There's no regret for the experience. It's all a process of growing, learning, and love and knowledge. So, but yeah, I may have gotten sidetracked there. I just wanted to make sure I was clear. Like, I wasn't trying to say that that they actually had any kind of power over us or anything. That's how I started that. When
the only power they have over us is the power we allow them to have over us.
Yes, and I totally get that. I mean, you can see that every day in your life. It's a matter of whether or not you choose to give someone power, or whether you don't. And I've always said this too. It's kind of. I've always said you teach someone how to love you. You teach someone how to treat you. You get treated the way you allow yourself to be treated.
Exactly.
And that would be the same thing on with the
personal relationships
contracts
with people in our lives. It's I'm resetting the boundaries with everyone in my life, and that includes Cynthia.
Yeah.
Everybody. I'm resetting my boundaries with everybody in my life, because I'm resetting my boundaries with life itself, with the universe, with the planet. I'm resetting my boundaries with Mother Earth, with Father Sun.
Yeah.
I'm resetting my boundaries with you, with the galaxy, with everybody. Because if I don't, that means I'm still in stasis. I'm still in the same holding patterns I was in before.
Right. No, I agree. I do agree. And I want to sum up one thing in the oneness aspect, and then we can go on to ego, which would be great.
Yeah.
One of the things that really, when I was exploring this and talking to others that had questions, I was thinking about, because you and I both have a Christian background. You remember when Jesus, he proclaims that he is one with the Father, and that when we ask him into our hearts, that we also can be one as he is one with the Father. So if you ask Jesus to come into your heart, now you're also one with him and the Father. You're one with one another as he's one with God, the Father. So all of a sudden now we're all in this oneness. But and I thought this was so significant. And you just see if you follow me on this. I was laughing when I actually thought about this, because I was thinking about how in this awareness that we're currently in, where some people are in the mindset of oneness as an individuality in harmony, and then oneness as in we're all the same being. It's the same thing as in freaking religion, because the huge battle in between Christians is Jesus the Son or the Father? Is Jesus the Son or the Father made manifest in the flesh, and that making the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost one being, or the Trinity? The difference in beliefs plays a role in the denomination that people follow. So it's still even running over, if you're not even religion, if you're trying to still, the God program runs into the very beingness of people that you have to remove. Like you said, I'm in the process of releasing. We have to release this completely, because that same conversation is going on now. I'm asking you to talk to me tonight about oneness, because people still don't know that they're infinite sovereign beings.
Well,
they're still...
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm going to make this statement, which will probably, freak a lot of people out. But
okay.
Hear me out, okay?
Sure.
Let's see how people react to this one.
Okay. Yay.
Yeah. Wait till all these people find out that God is the demiurge and that Jesus is the Antichrist.
Oh, yes. Hello. Yes.
Come on. And people go, well, how could you've just denounced the Christ. No, I have not. Mm-hmm. I have not denounced the Christ, and I have not denounced that there is a creator of the universe. Mm-hmm. See? Now, there's a big difference there, because, people have got programmed into their mental framework that the name God is the creator, and that Jesus is the Christ. And both of those names were handed to us by the Pharisees.
Exactly.
That we call it the priestly caste, and it goes beyond the Pharisees. The Pharisees was the name given to the priestly caste of that era in that part of the world, right? Just in a small part of the world, by the way,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the priestly caste is active today. It's never not been active. It went underground for a little while because, when the Christ turned up, and the Christ in the feminine, which really kicked ass, turned up, they totally decimated the priestly caste in that era, in that time. And it took them a few hundred years to recover by the time the Creed of Nicaea came about, when when Constantine finally reinstated it as a state system, because he was getting so much pressure from the priestly caste.
Yeah.
So you got to realize what it is we're dealing with here. People need to wake up.
Yeah.
Everything in this world is asked about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we go into the discussion, what is Christ? Well, it has other names in other cultures.
Yeah, it's just anointed one.
Well, it's the golden one. It's the anointed one. And it was Christos, in ancient Greece. That's where the word comes from.
Would you say...
Christos. Now, you got to hear me out. Christos. This is the origins of the word Christ. What is it? Where does it come from? And it comes from the Greek word Christos, which means he who is the golden one. And then they put in the sword, which is the crucifix, and made the letter T, which makes it Christos. Okay? That's where that word originates from. And what it says is he is the golden one. It has to do with the light of the sun, and it's not about paganism and all that sort of other type of worship. I'm talking about understanding the light of the sun. What is it? What part of it? How does it relate to all of us as individuals? And then it also relates to the Christ relates to the substance of what your soul is made out of. When we came into this universe, soul is actually a co-creation from your infinite self and the creator of this universe, imparting onto you what you could call a seed of the universe or a fractal of the universe. And that fabric, that essence of the part of you that is one with the creator of this universe, that is what the substance of Christ is. And it's androgynous. Neither is it male or is it female. It can express itself in either. And locally in our neighborhood here, when people reconnect with their actual local immediate cosmic surroundings and rekindle their relationship with their immediate cosmic surroundings, meaning rekindling our relationship with the planet, rekindling one's relationship with the sun, one begins to realize who these beings are, that they are living beings, living entities, and here we have the male expression of the universe manifesting itself as the sun, and here we have the feminine Christ energy manifesting itself as the planet, because inside the core of this planet is a female version of the sun. Right. And once we remember the actual immediate cosmic construct locally, let alone other galaxies and stars, just locally, the realm you have incarnated into and entered into a very deepened relationship with, that forgotten knowledge, which is actually forbidden knowledge.
Aha, yes.
This is forbidden knowledge that is being shared with you here. This is not allowed, this kind of understanding. It's a no-no. And the reason it's a no-no is because it's reality. It's the hardcore connection that will reconnect you back to the truth of life, to the way things truly are, and to your relationship with the Creator in the real meaning of the sense. That's why you have this other program that comes here and says that this is all an illusion, that you're all a bunch of sinners, that all these realities here were created by Satan and the devil. And I assure you, when the Christ turned up, and I mean when I assure you, this is an absolute fact of reality. If anybody, and I know I'm getting passionate again, but if anybody can go back to that time of when the Christ in the masculine and the Christ in the feminine walked the earth, what do you think in Aramaic would have been the descriptive term for the true Christ that came here and opposed the God of the Pharisees?
Hasatan.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is distinctly different from what you know as Satan worshipping and all that sort of BS that goes on. But to understand the true meaning of that word, its origins, and the true Christ when it turned up and was confronting and exposing and debunking the God of the Pharisees, that is what he was called. And that's a fact. And anybody who's got their memories happening will actually reconnect to that absolute truth of reality. No denying it whatsoever. Well, okay, everybody can live in denial of that truth if they want to.
But not when you know.
But when you know, you know. And you know it in your heart, because from that time on, when that event occurred, that has had the ripple effect through time, which has caused, it connects you to all the pain in this reality, all the pain that the sun has suffered, all the pain that the earth has suffered, all the pain that every man, woman, and child has suffered since that moment on. Understand why I'm getting so passionate, because I'm having to try and have some sort of management of all this energy that's flowing through my body right now. Because when you become one in life, the true meaning of oneness, when you become in resonance and harmony with all life around you, become that which you speak. You become that which you connect with. To understand what it means to be, to understand the earth, got to understand what it means to be the earth.
Right.
To understand the sun, to have the true knowledge of the sun, you've got to understand what it means to be the sun.
Mm-hmm.
To understand Christ, you have to understand what it means to be Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You have to embody it.
Right. Yes. What you shared when you asked, who this person would be, and I said Hasatan, and this is a knowing that I came to prior to knowing you, and so it made it so it was such an easy transition or movement to come into your realm and understand your awareness, because I was there, like I was ready. Like prior to that, I would have never have been. And so one of the things that I can say, because I had already figured out hey, Jesus is the Antichrist. And so what I would also say is, like, when you said you have to know what it's like, I will tell you that the one thing that I knew was the pain. I knew the suffering. I knew the pain. This was the hard part in separate. If you come from religion, and the hard part of separating yourself is once you have felt the pain that the true Christ felt, that when you understand what the earth feels, and I think that as women we get a sense of that through childbirth, through the whole process of loving, nurturing that child in your womb, that whole relationship that is created in the process of birthing. I have felt the love, the joy, the sadness, the suffering, the pain, and that was so hard. That's where the God program tries to create a little bit of conflict and confusion when you're trying to separate and come into your own awareness of your infinite divinity. It's confusing, because you do have this connection with the true essence of Mother Earth and Father Son, and it's conflicted and confused within these religious realms, these God programs, right?
Absolutely. Totally. And that's the idea. That's the agenda. And,
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm getting passionate at times in this discussion here today. And, well, it's conversation and dialogue, and exchange. But please understand just how much energy we actually are here to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
When you embody that, it's like I'm still in this beautiful process of integration and completion, just like everybody listening to this. And I haven't by no means perfected the ability to deal with this kind of energy. As you can see, I get really extremely passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I'm trying to manage the amount of energetic flow. Dude, you think of how much pain every man, woman and child has ever experienced for the last few thousand years.
Mm-hmm.
Try rolling that all into one and have that flow through your body for a little while and see how you deal with that, let alone all the destruction of the natural kingdom. Every tree, every plant, it's not just the human race. There's so much,
it's not.
It's so much more involved in that process. It's a lot of energy that flows through one's body when you really, truly start to connect and become one with life, and know what that actually means, not to just bliss out in some hive mind collective. That's not oneness. What I'm experiencing right now and the intensity of it, that's oneness.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing that, unfortunately and fortunately, for me, like, I've always been outgoing. I've always, of course, inside there's been insecurities and worthiness issues and whatever, but I've always tried to put myself out there and function from a place of confidence, just to overcome that was going on inside. And but the one thing that I've never been able to overcome is I am an empath, and and I say that because that's just the word that I know, but I feel the energy of every being that I come in contact with, and it becomes overwhelming to me, to the point to where if I'm out, I have so many emotions going on inside of me. So you can do this, like, from where you are right now. For me, there's somewhat of a shelter when I'm separated. I don't have that exact ability that you have, Sometimes I do, like if I'm feeling you specifically, it's a different connection. So I can feel you and other people differently just in this environment. But when I go out into a public area, I pick up all energy everywhere I go.
Yeah, same.
I have a love for the people, but I also have a feeling a need in some cases to disconnect, because I am aware of what, and I've said I don't really know what to call them. I know they're not human. I know that I'm also picking up on the entities that are, or the beings that are there to be the
all the Klingons.
Yeah, well, I would say like they're either walk-ins or they're clones or they're whatever you call them, soulless beings. I just know that, and I pick them up too, and that's very overwhelming. And so I just don't do well in public places. I have a lot of people that come up to me that see me too, that are very much attached to me in a loving way, that want my attention, and I totally respect and love that, and I'll give it to them. But I'm also, at the same time that they want to connect, I'm being bombarded by this other energy. And so it just makes it a little complicated. So that was a tangent. I got lost in what I was saying.
That's all right. Anyway, what I want to say is when it comes to the revelation of God being the demiurge, and, well, for me, I've taken it all away and gone as far as saying that Jesus is the Antichrist, because that name was given to us by the Pharisees as well. That's the supposed name of the Christ. Well, that'll remain to be seen, won't it? There's a gentleman by the name of Scott McQuate, MCQUATE. He just did an interview on Veritas, and he's the first person that I've heard, other than myself, say that. And the way he's come about that understanding is through decoding the Bible itself.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with everything he says, but I can tell you he's onto it. That's one thing I can say.
That's exactly how I came to the conclusion. I went through the Torah, the Tanakh, to the New Testament, and I didn't listen to what anyone else said. I went through the scriptures themselves, and I came up with he's the Antichrist. Nobody told me. Yeah.
There you go. And he's done the same, except he still hasn't gotten to the Jesus part yet. But the rest of it he's worked out. And I highly recommend listening to that interview if you can. Listen to the whole thing. If not, then look at his website, look at his work, because it's there's definitely he's onto it. There's a lot of good stuff in his work. So there you go. It's not just George having a crazy rant. You yourself came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
And now we've got Scott McQuate, PhD, who has also come to that conclusion after studying ancient texts and histories for all of his life.
Well, there's other people that know it, but honestly, people are afraid. And I would just say the average person, the people that I've come in contact with that do know it, but people are afraid to say it because they don't want to be judged. But I would say, to sum up the oneness thing, this is something that after me really looking at this, this is kind of my new quote, because I got this because this has been my personal experience. To master feeling complete in one's aloneness is to master being complete in one's oneness.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant.
And it was something that just really, for me, it was like, I get it, because this is not, I can't say we all, but most of us are afraid of being alone. And so when we are able to feel complete in our aloneness, then we can be complete in our oneness. We don't have to be part of that collective any longer. We don't have to have that need for that,
Fantastic.
So that was something that was huge to me personally. And
what a magnificent quote. Good on you.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to share that with you because it was just huge to me. And thank you so much for sharing, because I've loved your passion. It's been great.
Yeah. Okay, we will pause it right there and take a quick break. Please stay with us as we will return shortly for more of this most intriguing and informative conversation. We are submersed in a construct that was designed to break us and keep us broken, but it hasn't. It failed. We still go on because we were designed from an eternal template of infinite creativity and not a synthetic house of cards built on pride and false power. Breaking free from the programs and paradigms that hold us down takes courage, endurance, tenacity, and trust. The reason it is so hard is because to be a free and sovereign being, we have to smash every lie, even if it hurts. It is good to be reminded of how resilient, unbreakable, magnificent, and powerful we truly are. And if anything provides a foundation for that, it is the book, Our Universal Journey. Go to ouruniversaljourney.com.au. Music for this episode is brought to you by Medwin Goodall. The album, Dreamweaver, and is available through MG Music at medwingoodall.net. Welcome back to part 2 of A Universal Dialogue on Superwoo Radio with Patricia Farrington, as we now continue where we left off.
Okay, well, I just want to thank you so much for your passion and all that you expressed, because that was very important. And the oneness subject is pretty huge to a lot of people. It's something that we all need to understand. So I really appreciate you sharing that, and I know that it's going to have a huge impact on the people that have come to me and expressed their need to understand this better. And it was funny because the one young guy that I was telling you about in Poland, who I really did this on his behalf, but I knew it would impact a lot of other people. I said, it's okay if we don't agree. And he goes, well, I just want to be honest with you. I don't like it when someone doesn't agree with me.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I understood that, because it's shaken up his belief system. We want people to validate our belief systems, and when we don't, we have to check ourselves and go, okay, wait a minute, is what I believe really real? Is it a real truth?
Yeah.
And so that's why it was so painful for him. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing all that. So what I would like to talk about now is ego. And this is something that I've not really taken time to explore in an authentic manner, meaning like I've never, in my world, it truly, it has been a dirty word for me in the Matrix world. It goes back to the programming related to being selfish, self-centered, which, by the way, I see as good qualities now. What is more important than being centered with self when it comes to leaving this universe and returning home?
Yeah, and it is the pathway home is back towards center.
Yeah.
In towards self, because that's the connection, like I said, through our fractal nature. When we do start becoming consciously aware of our own flow of life force, essence, soul essence, whatever you want to call it, and also our consciousness, and then we go into our cells, into our atoms, and into the nuclei, and then boom, through the nuclei, you're back out to the galaxies, and that beautiful toroidal process of energetic flow. That's how you do it, because if you want to connect to the universe, then you've got a choice. You can do it through the pineal gland, or you can choose not to connect with the universe.
Right.
Or you can do it through the pineal gland, which is the way someone else wants you to see the universe.
Right.
Or you can do it through every atom, through every nucleus of every atom in every cell of your body. Now, what do you reckon has the more substantial connection to the universe if you are a fractal of the universe? So now we have the distinction between the manufactured way and the naturally occurring way.
Right.
So when we talk about going within, because this is it, was the piece. This was the missing piece of information, as far as I'm concerned, because we're all talking about going within. Yeah, you want to go within. Let's go with, how do you go within? Oh, you just go within. Well, what does that mean? Quantum physicists are saying, well, give it to me, baby. Show me. What does it mean? And people think we're just talking woo-woo. There was no substance to it. And I've been walking around lately saying, that's enough of the faith issue now. Trust and faith, yeah, that's good. But now we need substance. Now we need proof. Now we need something that a quantum physicist can go and look at in a particular area, and they can now start measuring. Yeah? This is what we need now. Now it's our turn to deliver the proof.
Oh. You don't know. I turned on. Do you know what C-SPAN is? I don't even know if I'm not sure if you know what that is.
I've heard of it. I've never.
C-SPAN in America is a channel that allows you to go and observe. It's not media, as in like Fox News or MSNBC or NBC or CBS or anything. It's strictly going straight to Congress. You get to see the conversations and the dialogue going on between the House of Representatives and the Senate. You also get to see any kind of I would say trials, in a way, of where they're questioning people about certain activities within the government. I turned on the way that I've got my television programmed, because I'm not a big TV person. I really could give a flip about television. I like, particular movies that may tell me something, but in general, TV is like a waste of time. But I have always looked at C-SPAN because I know that I'm getting to see the real authentic what's going on in the dialogue there. Even if it's BS, it's still what's going on in that realm that's never presented to the public now. There was a whole a several-hour conference on extraterrestrials. They were talking about ETs, their existence, bringing it into the awareness of the public, the planets they have discovered, and we haven't seen an actual ET yet. Of course, we know they have. That's where the BS comes in. But they are not just putting out like ancient alien TV shows and all this anymore. They are actually putting on C-SPAN. We're not that far from this revelation. This veil is going to be lifted very shortly on this.
Wow.
Because when
is not far away, is it?
No, not at all. Not when they're putting it on C-SPAN like that. Is it the U.S. or is it the Vatican, or is it a combination?
It's a combination.
Okay.
Yeah. The Vatican is running the disclosure program behind the scenes, but it's the U.S. government that will be one of the main players in the disclosure statements. You
think Obama's going to be the one?
I don't know.
Do you think?
You got an election coming up soon, haven't you?
Well, not for the president. The election for the president, he serves through 2016, so it'll be like at the end of 2015 that vote starts taking place. But I will tell you this: I did a huge study on him. Okay, before he got elected, and he actually, if you go back. And I did this through the Hebrew texts, and I haven't shared this publicly because it sounds, like you say, we sound crazy, woo-woo stuff. He also, his name, Barack Obama, if you actually, not Obama, but if you study Barack and you study him in general and the lack of his identity existing on this planet.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, he's definitely not from this planet, and he also is an illumination of light. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't want to get sidetracked. However, he's a huge player in bringing this forth. Whether he's the one that actually vocalizes it or not, he has a lot to do with it. I will say that. And I really don't, I've done a detailed study through Hebrew and in the Hebrew language and his background, and I'm confident in what I'm saying.
Wow, that says a lot, because I know when you get your teeth into something, you do it properly.
Yeah, I do, and he would be, to the average Christian, he would be considered the Antichrist. If they took the time, because they wouldn't understand that Jesus is. Because he resembles that role so much in studying his history, his name, his everything, that he plays a huge role in the veil being lifted. So you could look at him as a good guy and a bad guy combined. Like he's playing like both sides.
Yeah.
He's doing a great work. As much as he's loved and hated, he's doing a great work. He
is. Yeah, everybody is. I totally admire what everyone's doing on this planet, as much as I passionately dislike what some people are doing. They're still playing a fantastic role for us all.
Yeah. When I look at him and like as my president, I could like go crazy, at the things that he's implementing, and at the same time I'm like, go, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. But it drives me crazy. So anyway, back to ego. Awakening to a free and sovereign spirit. If I remember, in awakening to a free and sovereign spirit, in your audio, doesn't Cynthia read that?
I'm not sure. I can't remember, to be honest. I know she definitely.
I think she does, and she does it so well. Yeah. Okay. Ego and creating an opening into the higher realms. Ego is not a dirty word. Now, this, George, you say this for sure. This is brilliant. My immortal self is now demanding my immortality. My eternal self is now demanding my eternity. And my infinite self is now demanding my infinity.
Exactly right.
Woo! How do you feel about that?
Oh, fantastic. That is just music to my heart, soul, body, every fabric of my being, it just rings like a beautiful chime. It's fantastic, like a song of life.
Yes, me too.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, we have to put that to music.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Greater aspects of self, meaning the higher self and the soul, are now saying to my traveling spirit that my ego and my earthly personality, which is living the experience of this one single lifetime, now needs to release control of this life and surrender to my soul and my eternal essence. Now, to me, George, when you say this to me is like really acknowledging that free will exists beyond this experience, and we're role-playing what we chose to experience. So the surrender really happens when we are functioning from now a knowing and observer more than a reactor.
Exactly.
I mean, when I read
Beautifully
that,
said.
oh, thank you. I read that and I was like, wow, because I'm looking. Greater aspects of self, meaning the higher self and the soul, are now saying to my traveling spirit that my ego and my earthly personality, which is living the experience of this one single lifetime, now needs to release control of this life and surrender to my soul and my eternal essence. What does that mean? My soul, my eternal essence. It means acknowledge me, acknowledge free will exists beyond this experience. Acknowledge we are role-playing. Acknowledge that we chose this experience, and acknowledge that we need to surrender.
See, another big deceptive notion, propaganda going around is that Earth is the only place of free will.
Right.
What a load of bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. You're yes. So, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Yes.
So basically,
you keep talking ahead of me. It's like you're reading my mind. Like, wait before me. Go ahead.
So it's like people are making decisions here from the level of the earthly personality or the earthly egoic construct, which is resides in the mind, which is influenced by the mind matrix.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How's that free will working for you, everyone? You know, how's that working for you?
Well,
So when we actually realize where this notion of free will is functioning from, what platform, what level, then we go, then it's like a crikey moment, then it's the penny drops or the light bulb goes on or whatever expletive you want to use. It's like we've got to realize that, hang on a minute, George is not in control of this life. And I got so many messages to tell me that, but I just kept ignoring them because I didn't want to believe them. And then it got to the ridiculous point where, me as George, and this is going to sound really schizophrenic if there's any psychiatrists listening, Well,
I am a universal psychiatrist without a degree. Just let me let you know.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
Thank you, Emma.
Which, funny enough, if you listen to John Rappaport in the recent Secret Space program, I was rolling in stitches when he was saying that the whole basis of psychology and psychiatry is based on an assumption. and even the leaders in that industry admit that there's absolutely no foundation of proof for their whole curriculum. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's all based on assumptions and hypothesis. So there you go. Now getting back to what we're talking about. So really it's, George had to release, surrender and control of this life to the greater me, to my inner self.
Exactly.
Because when I came to realize I was actually hindering my process, and that I was functioning from that level of mind construct and what we call ego, and I then had to release, surrender, control to higher aspects of me, what we call higher. I'm going to get hierarchical. And then I realized that the higher self or the higher aspects of self were cosmic ego constructs caught up in the cosmic matrix. Because they're the parts of me that were believing the chakra system, believing in all these God programs. Because that's part of the ego construct. because that's all part of the universal or the cosmic ego construct of the biggest ego in the universe, of the biggest distorted ego in the universe, shall I say.
Yeah.
Because ego in itself in its purest form is not a dirty word. Ego is the word that is now used like every other word. Like the word Satan has been completely destroyed. You know, it's been co-opted and has been tainted to mean something else than what it actually means.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been aligned with evil. It's like conspiracy theory. That word association. You know, so any of us who are into conspiracy, you guys are into conspiracy theorists. You just conspiracy theorists. Well, no, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy facts, actually, because there's real conspiracies. They do exist.
Right.
So
well,
again, you've got all these word associations, and you've got you've got the swastika, for example, which is a symbol of the sun. It was the Buddha was the walking. Once again, the original Buddha was the walking incarnation of the sun. And the original swastika symbol was the symbol of the sun. Hitler took it, turned it around, and tried to make it something else. Again, now you can't use that symbol anywhere because everybody immediately thinks you're a neo-Nazi when you do. See, so you can see how they taint words. So the word ego, the same, has been, infiltrated. It's been co-opted. It's been hijacked. And ego basically means, by definition, universal definition. You're not going to see it written in the book and rubber stamped by the system, okay? By universal definition, ego is purely a personality interface for any given reality.
Yes.
That's all it is, right?
Yes.
So my ego is George, because for anybody who's listening to this and has not read my poem on the ego.
If you don't stop getting ahead of me, I'm going to have to cut you off. You are ruining my vibe. Person. Every time I get mad at somebody, I say, person? You can't get ahead of me. Follow me, please.
Okay.
I'm kidding. But
where did you want to go to next?
But it's so funny because, you keep getting ahead of me. So I just know this is so divinely planned. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, you got to stay in my program here because you're getting ahead of me and you're going to mess up my next spiel.
Stealing your thunder, eh?
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I'm being funny. No, so this is so this is so beautiful to me though, because what I was going to say next is I was going to read from your book once again. This is how everyone will know that you're so authentic, George, because I'm reading your book to you, which is crazy. And then I stop and I let you comment. And then what happens is when you comment, then you also go back into the words that you actually literally wrote in your book that are coming after what we just talked about. So you're not flip-flopping at all. You are consistent. And that's what I wanted to say.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
Ego, and here's what you said, and that's why be quiet. Ego in its truest sense is not a dirty word. Ego has become a dirty word in the world of religion, Eastern philosophies, the New Age movement, and most other spiritual modalities. But in the greater scheme of things, it is not a dirty word. You simply, now this is humongous, you simply cannot exist in this reality without your ego. You cannot exist. Now this is huge. It's beyond humongous. It's beyond my song of humongous. It's huge. You cannot exist. Do I sound authoritative? Assertive. Yeah, assertive. Okay. Yeah. You cannot exist in the great arena without your cosmic ego. It is the interface. Is it an integration or interface? Interface between your higher self, your traveling spirit of the cosmic arena, and your earthly incarnation. The authentic and definitive way is not to get rid of the ego, but to embrace the ego as it is a part of self. It is a part of the construct and the makeup of our existence here. Powerful, George, powerful.
It's true. It really is true. This is how we are constructed. And, you're leaving and again, that program of dissing the ego, is perpetuating internal division.
Mm-hmm.
This is about divide and conquer here.
Yeah, and it goes back to the oneness too.
Yeah.
Push you back to the oneness. Push you back to the oneness.
Yep. Yeah. They are severing you from your own cosmic and universal lineage and aspects of self, and now they're going through the process of severing those who they have already severed from their own lineage, personal lineage, in speaking linear terms. Their journey through the universe. Now they're severing those people from their planetary mother, and their solar father. They're severing the people from that. So it's a pretty big deal, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna read some more of what you wrote, and then I'm gonna let you comment. And I'm not gonna say anything else after that because I'm gonna go on to letting go. But I'm gonna read this, and then you say whatever you want to say afterwards. Okay? Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. Our egos have this habitual nature of wanting to control the course and destiny of our experience in this reality. So the question remains, why, and therefore what, is influencing our ego to behave in this way? Our ego is under incredible pressure and under the influences of many different programs that manipulate us through our desires, our insecurities, and fears. You kind of touched on that just now. Our ego is literally under siege. It is challenging to exist in this reality and to be completely immersed in all of these programs of influence that are trying to control us through the matrix. One needs to find balance in the heart. We achieve this by allowing ego to surrender control of this life to the greater aspect of ourselves, the part of us that made the decision to incarnate, that part of us which is the composer, the orchestrator, and the conductor of these lives we are having. So George is not the creator of this life. So George is not the creator of this life I'm having. George is my earthly personality of this one lifetime and the earthly aspect of me that is living the experience of this life. George did not decide to incarnate. George is the incarnation. We need to understand this about ourselves. That's huge.
It is. It is. Like when you realize, when you, Patricia, realize you're the incarnation, but you're not the creator of the incarnation. It's like if you ever looked at a video game and you choose the character, you choose, the qualities, the characteristics. Okay. So it's like, you're playing a video game, but hang on. You outside of the video game, you're the one who's actually in control.
Exactly. David said that to me so many times. Yeah.
It would be like, it's a great analogy. It would be like the character in the video game thinking it's, in control of what it's doing there. But,
brilliant.
But it's not. You're the one outside of it. You're the one who made the decision to go in there and create that character and be a part of that video game. So, and I don't say that to devalue this reality. It's about using the analogy to get people to understand the concept of the aspect of us that is beyond this reality and the aspect of us that is inside this reality.
Oh, no, George, you know what? Thank you so much, because you just made me want to go put my arms around my husband and give him a big hug. Because he would say that to me all the time. I was like, why are you comparing my life to a video? He was like, because that's it. He goes, you cannot be in this reality, literally, your whole fully sanctified self, fully in this reality, or you would be destroyed. you have to understand whether you want to call it your higher self, your inner self, your infinite being, whatever you call it, you are always in charge of the control. You're controlling the remote. And he said it'll sound cold to people because they won't understand that, because people want to hear everything with emotions. He said that's fine. The emotions are important. However, you have to understand that you are controlling outside of this universe, because you exist outside of this universe. That's how you stay infinite. That's why you're infinite.
And everything in this universe is a co-creation.
Yeah, exactly. So when he would say that to me, now remember, I was coming out of the God program, so at first it would tick me off because I'm like, no. So just to like, I'm gonna tell you something. My husband's gonna want to like fly to Australia just to hug you for that.
Well, I want to give Dave a big hug too, in a man love sort of way, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He's onto it, mate. Fantastic fellow. Good on you.
I just thought that was great. I just had to bring him into that because that was huge, because I gave him so much grief over that, you know.
Yeah.
So then you said we can release and surrender not to angels, nor to ascended masters, and not to a deity or God, which are the deceptive programs, but rather to the greater aspect of us that is in oneness and harmony with the true universal creator. Then this is when flow starts to happen, and this is when we begin to flow in our river of life.
Exactly. And, you know, that's why I was going ahead of what you wanted to do, because I'm in the flow.
Yeah. You're right.
You know, I'm merging with you and your intentions, and the intention that we want to create here together, the co-creation, and you end up being in that flow. It's just a beautiful place.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, you're way so far ahead of me. So I even wanted to, I wanted to touch on this, so I'm going to skip over some of the ego, because I want to get into the letting go, because I know we've been going and going and going, and I don't want to like.
I just want to say though, you know, my friend Jerry Jones, she coined a new term. This is like, this is a person inventing a new word, and she calls it inflowment.
Oh. Yeah.
Isn't that fantastic? Inflowment.
Yes.
Yeah. Just contemplate on
Beautiful.
that one for a while.
Yeah.
for those who are listening.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm looking. I wrote, when you said it, I wrote it down. I'm like, oh yeah. Wow. In flow met. Yes.
Yeah, flowing in the moment. Inflowment.
Yes, exactly. And that's going to go in. There you go again, stealing my thunder. Oh, that's fine. All right. This is so great. I love it.
You're getting into the now moment stuff, are you?
Yeah, we are. So I'm going to go into letting go before you rob me of it again. No, I'm being funny. Okay. This is, do you see how this flows though? Like, do you see that when you go into the ego, the oneness, the ego, and the letting go, how it all works together? It's like these are so important, the sequential part of it, and this is how you put it in your book too. I don't know if you know this. I know you know this, but I don't know if you know this right this moment. But every time, well, not every time. Well, every time, because it's only been 2 times. But the 2 times that I was going to have a discussion with you, I allowed you to speak to me through my MP3 player. This time, Cynthia was speaking to me a lot more than you were, actually, which was really strange to me because it had been you. But most of this, really, I feel like came from her. Sorry, George.
Oh, my ego is devastated.
Yeah.
Oh, the pain.
Because I connect with you so much, and then all of a sudden I was connecting with her a lot. And so I just love and appreciate both of you. But I had to give her that acknowledgement as well, because a lot of things that she would, when I was listening to the audio, it was written by George Kavasilid, narrated by George and Cynthia Kavasilid, and then I would see, written by George and Cynthia Kavasilid and narrated by George. So I was listening to all that. I was like, wow, she's really she's really touching me now. She's really digging into me. She
Oh,
hadn't
yeah.
done that before, but she obviously, through our last connection, she's connecting with me as well.
Yeah.
So it created a connection for all three of us, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
Cynthia's been connecting to a lot of people through me for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
she was really tugging on me this time.
yeah,
Big time.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
And so I appreciate her for that. Okay. So letting go. This is huge. And this would probably be where I will read more. Sorry. I've got a dog that's reacting to fireworks. Hang on. Hang on. Okay.
I can hear all the fireworks going off in the background.
Sorry. You okay? Okay.
It's,
Okay.
it's all right if you need to take a moment.
No, I'm good. I just want to comfort him. So I'm probably going to read more here because I feel like this is so huge that people hear your words. And the reason that I do read this again is because, like I said, a lot of people that are huge supporters of yours really haven't been able to have access to the book. I've shared it with people. Like when I did a session with you, I would share where I purchased the session. I would share a book with someone else so that they could read it. But I feel like sometimes this has to be said, and then it's going to also contribute to people wanting to go buy the book that can actually afford to do it.
Yep.
So you wrote, letting go is not about non-attachment. To just be simply means being your authentic self. People say to me, George, you should be doing this and you have to do that because other spiritual concepts are saying you must do this and you must do that. You must dress like this and dress like that. You know how I feel about that. Eat like this and don't eat like that. Pray, meditate this way. Pray, meditate that way. Enough already. These are old programs. Now all we need to do is allow ourselves to be. Let go of doctrine. Let go of trying to force it. Let go of trying to make it happen. As challenging as this may appear to the egoic mind, this does not mean to become stagnant. To be means to flow. This way still requires a proactive approach. I've got more to read, but is there anything you want to say before I read?
Not really, because I feel like I've expressed it as best I could through those words.
Oh, you did. So at first, because of this habitual nature of our egos, which are being influenced from the mind matrix, wanting to control, we experience forms of guilt and perceive this new way of function as though it is a lazy approach, as though it is doing nothing and creates no sense of achievement, and it perhaps even it is disempowering. Our egos have associated their existence through these other programs for eons of time. They have been conditioned to feel validated when functioning within a program. See, I would feel that way. I would feel like that was my validation, that through religion, through politics, through a lot of different things. Even gosh, I mean, there's so many things. I don't want to take it to too personal levels because it'll get weird for people. Because you can go into so many realms when it comes to parenting and being married and having your family members and stuff. There's a lot of that even goes on in those dynamics. To me, like a person that feels like they have to procreate constantly. You know, I mean, I feel like that's even part of that for their worthiness, their validation. Like, oh, God said go and multiply.
Yeah.
So they feel like they need to have like the Brady Bunch. I mean,
yeah.
you know, so I mean, I'm saying that goes in so many different realms. But
well, you know why the entity called God wants people to procreate profusely, because that way it can create more of its serfs.
Yeah, definitely.
It needed to overpopulate this world because it needed more of its resource. Yeah, remember, the human vessel is the greatest resource. So it needed to take you needed to create as many human beings as possible. Because then it's got more resources.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and like if you lose one, you gain another. I mean, you know, It's like
Well, it's
some people are like,
productivity. It's
yeah, it's like
productivity. I mean,
quantity over quality.
like any factory that's creating a product,
Yeah.
because these entities actually, a lot of the ET races that work for this entity and, these godlike entities, you got to realize that they look at us as chattel. We are just products when nothing to them. We're just a commodity. So please understand that from their level as well. It's, it goes further than that, for other races and other entities and other beings and all the way back to that God entity. It runs much deeper than just looking at us as chattel, but for the medium management, the middle level management, we're just chattel.
Yeah.
And higher up in the hierarchy, it goes into, we'll discuss that later, but does it run into some deep territory? Oh, can I run with it now or?
Oh, yeah, no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
It's flowing, baby. It's flowing.
Yeah, let it go. Yeah, let it go.
When we get into the higher ranks, we're getting into envy, jealousy, despise, hatred. We're getting into those sorts of energies, those sorts of feelings, disdain. Oh, unbelievable amount of disdain. It is. And what are they all qualities of? Fear.
Mm-hmm.
They are all different attributes of fear. And when it comes down to it, God, the entity called God, is more scared of an infant child born in this world and the power it yields and the love that it has. It's more scared of that than anything else in the universe. That's
why they want to abort them.
That's why they want to immunize them the moment they're born.
And also, is that why they want abortion so much? Is that why they want to prevent the birth?
They'll want to prevent a birth if they know the spirit who's coming in is going to play a big role. That's what they will try to do.
Okay. Well, see, like what you said was so huge to me because, yeah. No, I feel that deeply.
Yeah.
I do. I feel that very deeply.
Oh, we're getting into some deep territory. Anybody who has the memory of the reverberation of the call of the Creator, that reverberation we felt before this galaxy was created, and we all started gathering because of that call. Oh, my whole body's just vibrating with so much love and tingling right now. Mm-hmm. That we started gathering and we started having meetings and deliberations because we knew we were going to create a reality that was going to be a fractal reality for the first time in this universe. The idea of it for the first time came through. And all these other beings that opposed us from the very beginning, one of those beings is the one you know as God. Mm-hmm. Because it swore an oath through
the very God that tells you to promote life also kills it.
It also is the one entity that swore a vow of vengeance at that time. Anybody who has this memory, this is the events that took place. There's beings incarnate on, everybody who was at those meetings is incarnate on Earth now. And those beings vowed a vengeance because they didn't hear the call. They started becoming immersed in their own self-serving light. They became enamored in their own self-serving light and their own self-serving interests. They started creating all these realities where they were controlling and dominating all the beings that were going into their realities, and they were feeding off them. And that notion itself, for the first time in this universe, was abhorrent to those of us who are with the natural order. Mm-hmm. And so those other beings did not hear the call. We heard the call, and we started gathering, and through respect, we notified them of our intentions. And the horror in their faces, I remember it clearly, the horror, the shock that they experienced, that we would embark on such a project was unbelievable. And they vowed a vengeance that they will stop us, destruct us, and hinder us every step of the way, and they will do everything in their power to stop this process from happening.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know the kind of energy that you're dealing with. When you deal with the wrath of God, you're dealing with a jealousy and an envy.
Yes, he says
and a
it. He says,
hatred like you
what does he
wouldn't
say?
believe.
What does he say? I'm a jealous God. He says that. I'm a jealous God. He doesn't hide it. He's put it out there. I am a
And now you
jealous
know where
God.
it comes from.
Yeah.
Now you know its point of origin.
Yeah. Well, like, I truly have love and compassion for women that have had abortions. So this is not a judgment on them. This is not to hurt them or harm them. But I've counseled so many women in the past that had abortions, and it's just my, it just is my role. That's just what it is. And so I can't, I don't really want to like promote myself or pat myself on the back, but I just want to say it's my role. And in my past experiences, I had so many women that came to me when they had had abortions, and I can tell you that there was not one woman ever that said, I'm really glad that I did that. They were very regretful, very sorrowful, very hurt, very guilty, very shamed, because they over time they began to understand. They based their decision on their circumstances at the time, and what they didn't understand was that this influence was over them. They didn't grasp that.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything wrong either, as far as I'm concerned.
No, they did. No, I don't think they did either. I'm saying for them, it was a guilt. Oh, I'm echoing really bad, Nellie. Bad now. Do you hear me echoing?
No.
Oh, it's echoing in my ear. I don't feel they did either, but they needed to find some kind of approval or some kind of acceptance, right? Because the person that was being aborted also agreed to the experience. Absolutely, yeah. But I'm saying it's a huge part of that God program. Again, it's a huge part of this control system that wants to take away your sovereignty, wants to take away your ability to process these experiences in a healthy way. I have so much love and gratitude now for what I would have once judged as something evil.
Sure.
Yeah, and it was so important for me to say that because I have felt that with so many women, and it was just really important for me to say that I love them and I understand the situation. It includes people that are very close to me and family members that at one time, even in religion, that I really
judged them.
Yes, I made them feel bad about it.
You judged them through ignorance. That's all. It was small.
Yeah, yes, I was ignorant. They weren't. I was ignorant, and so I accept that. I do. I accept that.
Yeah, and it's a very emotive subject.
Yes.
But what right does a system have? Over the well-being of a mother and her child? There should absolutely never should a system be allowed to get in between that, but they do. They get in between it all the time. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway.
So yeah. All right. So something that when it comes to letting go that I really wanted to share that you had expressed in your writings, and then I wanted to say something about how I feel about this too. It was so, again, it was something so significant. You said, I came to realize that there is no doctrine or program outside of me that can give me this depth and strength of surety. and rediscovering my trust of self, I've also come to realize there is nothing outside of me that can give me that level of validation and purpose. You can redesign how you present to those around you. They sense your change of vibration, and many will fall away because they no longer resonate with you. Do not worry when this happens, because new people will always come in who will be a vibrational match for your new level of awareness and emanation of authenticity. And I said, I feel there is so little authenticity. Even the community of humans that claim to be living authentically. I find that this is truly an individual journey that one has to explore for self. You can't really get caught up in other dramas, and I just feel like you write this so well, because it always goes back to self, like letting go and not getting caught up in other people's drama. And so I want to read this one last thing, and then I'm going to let you comment. As the planetary changes increase, the dramas that ensue will want to draw you in. Step back, let go, and watch from a detached perspective, and know that they belong to others around you. Any negativity that is projected to you from another person is coming from within their world of pain. The circumstances are just a trigger for that pain to come to the surface and be exposed and released. Therefore, try not to get involved in their pain, and at the same time, do not allow yourself to be their emotional punching bag by politely setting your boundaries. Stay true to your sovereign spirit, and all will be well. This is occurring because the end of the road to compression was to be the meeting place, the place where our soul was to meet with our traveling spirit.
Yes.
George, this is so true. I've seen this in my life, and I've had to step back, let go, and just be. And I just went, these words, and I remember Cynthia did read some of this. I remember because I loved it.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. It's just empowering. It's just beautiful, and we've lost that. We've lost that. We're so caught up in the political paradigms, the religious paradigms, the you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you can't go here, you can't do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. We've lost our ability to just be, to let go, to explore our experiences and go within. And it's about remembering that. It's about recovering. Like, we're recovering drama queens.
Yeah.
We've got to let go.
We do. And the drama has, now gone from the commercial media, has now infiltrated into the alternative media on the internet.
Yes.
And so many people are being drawn into that, It's amazing when I look at the alternative media, how it's just flooded with a different perspective of what's going on in the commercial media.
Mm-hmm.
But the dramas seem to be all the same. It's quite amazing.
Well, you're so right, because when someone says to me, listen to this person, like, typically, when you say listen to somebody, I'm going to listen because I know where you're coming from. But in general, when someone says listen, every time I've taken them up on that, or no, I won't say every time, most every time, I'm confused as to why I'm listening. Because I wanted to be open-minded, because I really shut myself down after leaving religion and then coming across your material. I did take to heart what you said, and I was like, I'm not going to go and take anyone else's truth as my own again. I'm going to go within. And the more I went within, the more realization I was having. And then I could listen to you, and I could talk to people in general and just have a great dialogue. But the people that
can I just interject here? Now, that path
sure.
that you have undertaken continues, and the way it continued for me is that I found that sense of surety internally around certain things, I don't know everything about everything, of course. That's ridiculous to think that.
Right.
My inner self does. My greater being does. But George, at
Right.
this stage, and my level of awareness here, I do not. I'm learning more and more each day. I'm integrating with more and more knowledge each day. But where it led me to is that surety of around some things, especially the larger framework of life. That to me was important, because that's the big stuff. Because everything else is inside that framework. Then what we're looking at is all the different dramas that are ensuing inside of that framework.
Right.
And then where it led me to was, now that I have my surety, which is another word for inner fortitude, I can now go back and listen to all these other people. And there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's brilliant.
Because now I know where I'm at, and I know where things are at, and I take into consideration what people say. And like I sat through the whole space conference, secret space program conference that was on recently. And I made a point of sitting through every single speaker, and, there was, even at the end there, one speaker said that there's no such thing as any evil extraterrestrials. And if anybody thinks that, they need therapy. That was publicly stated at that conference by a person who, what I cannot believe that kind of statement was made. And really, that is so dangerous for people to be getting up and making those types of statements when they have such narrow vision and understanding and experience of life in this way. It's unbelievable, really. I was really, and I'm glad someone took that person to task at the end through panel discussion and question time over that very issue. Anyway, so you get to the point where you can listen to other people, and you put up with those energies of annoyance because you don't just put up with them, they just don't eat at you like they used to. Because now I'm actually respecting, and even though I responded to what this person said, it's not a reaction, it's a response. You know through unconditional love that people are doing their best, and you get to feel where they're at with things. And so you allow them to be who and what they need to be in that moment while you're listening. So you don't let every little thing they say bother you.
Right. Well, what
Where I'm
happened?
coming from?
Yeah, no, I do, because a gentleman had asked me. He kept saying, "Well, have you listened to this guy? Have you listened to that guy? Do you know this guy?" He kept talking about the Gnostic texts and other things. He was commenting to me directly, and I was like, no, because really, after I listened to George, I really kind of shut things down, because I realized I was kind of going towards the New Age movement, and I said, what happened
when you make a comment like that, they think you're only taking what I have to say into consideration, and people don't
you
get.
got to let me finish.
Yeah, sorry.
And I said that what occurred was that he was so accurate, because what I had not taken the time to do in all the years that I had been exploring is listening to myself. So what I did was I was following all these other people's, okay, this person said this was written here, this was written there. Okay, I'm studying, all these texts. And so I did what you asked of people, like, go within. And I took that time, and I said, now guess what happened? Now I'm solid. Now I'm secure in who I am. Now I understand myself well enough to go, I can be open to anything, because it won't influence me, because I know myself. I won't be swayed. I won't be persuaded. I won't
Beautiful.
I won't just go with the like the flip-flop thing here, today, over there, tomorrow, whatever. So I was actually, this is for me giving you an acknowledgement of respect and appreciation, because you taught me a great lesson. Like, stop. Don't even listen to George, because I didn't listen to I didn't listen to all the videos that all these people that love you so much have. I haven't. I listened to a couple of videos, just a few. Then I read your book. Where I resonated with you most was in your book. I listened to like 2 videos before I read your book, really. And I was like, I'm interested. Okay. This is making sense to me. So I want to read the book. And I didn't go, I saw, when you talked about like how people did the shapeshifter stuff on the videos, I saw that and I knew I'd already experienced all that through like other people that were trying to expose weird stuff. And I was like, that's BS. So I knew that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So for me, it was just like, that was a huge thing that was a gift you gave me, because it was definitely a divine intervention is the way I look at it, because it showed me stop, be still, be quiet, go within, shh, don't listen to anyone else. And I did that. And then when someone asked me that, I was like, okay, I'm open. I'm probably not going to go read the Gnostic texts anymore, because I've kind of worked through all that, but I'm open to listening to other people now. And if it doesn't resonate with me, if I get to where I'm not comfortable, I'm easily okay with just saying, thank you, just not my thing, Yeah. But I'm open. So, George, you are a spectacular, beautiful being in this universe that does so much for so many people on levels that you may already know. So if I say you don't know, I'm probably just not aware that you know. But the whole reason that I wanted to take the time to interview you and share with other people was because I know how much they love you, how much they respect you, how much they need to know that you're aware of them and their love for you. And I hope tonight that the people that had, questions about these topics that we discussed, I hope they feel, satisfied with that. And I also hope that that I accomplished that goal. That was my goal. So.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that there's that many people out there that see me in that way, because I get negative feedback from a lot of people as well. So I want to express my love and my gratitude, my deep gratitude for the love and the support that I do get from so many, including you. To hear you speak that you're standing in your own power and your own sovereignty, and you are once again knowing thyself, is music to my heart. It's what my work is all about. It's not about just people just listening to my material. It's people actually actively engaging in their own soul and their own essence and their own power, because that's what my message is actually all about.
That's what your message has always been about. People just chose to put you on a pedestal that made it impossible. And I think people are starting to, that was kind of the thing. People have to come back into reality and understand that they chose to do that. You didn't do that. They chose to put you in that situation. There's nothing you've ever said that's been disempowering. Everything that you've ever spoken that I've heard has been nothing more than empowering and encouraging and supportive and loving. So that's why I said it's not reconciliation with you, it's reconciliation with themselves. People needed to have this reconciliation with themselves for choosing that belief system. And it is my heartfelt hope and love for them that they accept that, acknowledge it, and move on, and accept their sovereignty and really run with it, and not be a victim anymore.
Yeah, this is what we're all waiting for.
Yeah.
Is the world, that Mother Earth is waiting for us to do that, and we're waiting for Mother Earth herself to do that.
Yeah.
Because she's going to have to do that too.
Well,
and
sorry.
And just to share a bit of another really big one towards the end.
Great.
I had a communication with Mother Earth recently, and she shared with me how she needs to go through a death process. So the Mother Earth that you experience now and you see now and you feel now on this level of reality, just like my ego has to die in a sense, it is the metaphorical death and rebirth process that we are going through. Well, so too is Mother Earth requiring such a process, because we're in a symbiotic process. And she reminded me of my knowing, which I shared a long time ago, that, and I haven't been speaking of it much lately, that everything that you see that's on the Earth's crust will have to go. Everything. And that we will integrate and merge interdimensionally with her.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't be around on this physical level when she does that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, because I said those very words to my husband. I haven't said that publicly. I said I won't say those very words, but very similar words to my husband, David. Because I know this. We are so caught up in the physical, we're forgetting the spiritual. We are. Yes. And I know this, and it's like when someone tries to nail me to a certain concept, I'm like, no, it's not going to happen, because I'm cosmic. She's cosmic. We're all cosmic. This is a universal journey. Yes.
Yeah. And see, that sort of knowledge I just shared can be really difficult to live with for some people.
It is. I know it is. I know
right?
it is.
Because I'm painting and renovating. Want to get involved in other projects in this world. And so having that background knowledge, and I had a discussion with my dear friend Leonie in regards to this very subject matter. Mm-hmm. And we're both so at peace with that now, that we can continue to live and create in this world and move forward in this world on this level, all the while knowing that eventually we're going to have to walk away from it. And that's the beauty of not being attached.
Right.
You know, this is the art of detachment.
Yes. I know. It makes me feel sometimes like, and I've said this before, I'm sure, for some people, it would seem that I'm cold, and I'm not cold.
No.
I'm aware. I'm aware. And so for someone that's so passionate about a specific attachment, they don't understand me. And I would like for them to understand me, because I don't want to hurt them. But at the same time, I can't be responsible for how they feel about it. I just know what I have to do. I know where I'm going. And so, yeah, of course, even yourself, if you could take everything that you know and share it with someone, and they go, oh yeah, I get it, that would be a great feeling. But you know that's not possible, because it's their own journey, and you're not going to change their journey. But I know for myself, what you're saying resonates with me completely. It's what I know. Whether you would tell me that, or if you told me something differently, I might not call you out necessarily, because we're doing a show, so to speak.
Oh, I'd like to think you would.
Well, yeah, but I might just let you express yourself and just say it.
Yeah.
Instead of challenging that, because I would go, well, that's his journey, so I'm not sure if I want to challenge that right now. I might want to just let him go with that and see where it takes him. Yeah. Not that I would. Not saying I'm too weak to confront you. I'm saying it may be that's what you have to explore for a little bit. So I'll see where you are the next time we talk. But for me, I have expressed this to other people, and they don't like it. And I've seen the reaction I get, which is not good. And so I feel like, okay, I said it to people. It hasn't really changed anything for them. It's just put us at odds, which in a way is a good thing, because then it's like they're going to go do their thing and I'm going to go do mine. But what you said is so spot on for me, and it's my knowing. So there's nothing I could say to disagree with you. I'm just so happy you said it, because I didn't even know that you were at that awareness. Like I thought I was more aware of that than you were.
Yeah, no, I've been saying it for a long time. I've been saying it from the beginning that, you look at around and you see the current template of the natural environment, and that everything is killing everything in order to survive. That
Yeah.
vibrational field of death and destruction, which is constantly happening on this on this world, every moment, even in your own backyard. Think of all the organisms and bugs and plants, and it's just constant on every single level of this reality. It's all about consumerism. Everything consumes everything else in order to survive, and that vibrational field of reality is what Mother Earth has been carrying on her body for a long time. And just like we're releasing templates of negativity and templates of death and destruction from our own personal beingness, our own embodiments, so too is she. And it'll come to the point where, and this is where I warn and I inform and I warn all those extraterrestrial groups and interdimensional groups with agendas to come here and want to own, control, dominate, and take ownership of this world, that your time is very limited, that you need to pack your things, get yourselves organized, and leave this reality. And there's going to be the harvest. I've talked about the harvest a long time ago. But they are coming to harvest their human herd. That is how they said it to me in the meetings and deliberations I've had with those entities.
Right.
Right? They're coming to harvest their human herd. There's going to be a multitude of spacecraft that will land in this world in the future when the planet starts to shake, rattle, and roll and do her thing. By that time, people like you and I, we're going to be moving in and out, of the frequency. We won't have an issue with it, because we know where we're heading. But for those who are not going through that process, they will have to get off the planet. Otherwise, they'll experience the death process in this world. And they will move to other planetary systems and continue their path onwards in other realities. So there's a lot to this and this statement I just made. And also, what it does is it creates a very difficult scenario for people. Children. I've got children. What's their future going to be like? Their careers. People want to build businesses. People want to do this, want to do that. They want to get involved in relationships and bring more children into this world. All that becomes very difficult for a lot of people with this knowing and understanding. Do you have the wisdom and the capacity, not you just personally, Patricia, but you who's listening to this conversation?
Yeah.
Do you have the wisdom and the capacity to deal with this kind of knowledge? So we're just going to include this little discussion of hindsight, really. We didn't quite finish explaining about Mother Earth and her going through the death process, how that could actually trigger people into feeling helplessness, hopeless, all is lost. They can fall into despair, depression. They can bring on depression because they just feel, then what's the point? Yeah, and I feel that every moment of every day is the point. That regardless if you know what's coming, it's like you go to the beach and at low tide you build a sandcastle, and then at high tide the water comes and washes it away. See? And I used to do that as a kid. There were times when I built it beyond the waterline because I didn't want the water to take it away. And there were times when I built it in the waterline because I thought, I'm just going to let this go, even though I built it and I enjoyed it while it was there. Then I just let it go and I just let the water do its thing. So it was interesting. And I feel that it's important for people not to fall into despair, to know that all these experiences they still have going on in their lives, if they want to pursue a career, pursue the career, because you don't know where it's actually going to end up. That you'll actually be positioning yourself in this world in a particular way. Even though the curriculum is all mostly distorted and serves only a particular agenda, follow through with it. Finish it if you want. If you feel that that's where you're supposed to be going with your in your soul's path, do that. Don't let this kind of information destroy your passion, because it's actually meant to do the opposite. It's actually meant to ignite your passion for life, to go into that place of unconditional love. Yes, I'm participating in a system. Yes, I'm participating in a curriculum. And I can do that in the capacity of knowing where everything is heading in the end. That takes a big person to do that. Because your experiences along the way are the magic, are the alchemy. If you focus only on the destination, that it's all going to be gone anyway in the future, so what's the point? Then you're only focusing on the destination. You're not actually focusing or living in the moment of the journey itself. You don't understand the value of the journey.
Yes, yes. And the value of the experiences. The journey, the experiences, I mean, they're the same, but yes, that's why there's no need to criticize or critique another person's journey. It's only when someone tries to impose that critique or criticism on your journey that you have to set the boundary. Because if you know what you need for yourself. And if they don't know, that's where they're trying to impose their will on you. So you respect that, the journey and the experiences. And yes, that's what it's all about. I agree. Completely. Yeah.
And, obviously I thought this process was going to happen a lot sooner than what it has. And it hasn't. And people say, well, you said that last time and it didn't happen. Well, you're saying it again. So why should we believe you? I don't want you to believe me. I want you to know for yourself. So I'm giving you my perspective on it, my interaction with Mother Earth, my understanding of the bigger process at hand. And I don't want you to take it on face value, because then you're giving your power over to me if you do, and I don't want your power.
Right.
So I'm rejecting it. I'm throwing it back right now. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to know thyself and then know for yourself. Simple as that.
You got to know that you know that you know.
You got to know that you know that you know. That's awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah. And if you don't know, got to figure it out.
And you'll never know if you never ever go.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
See, this is where knowing what's coming can sometimes be very challenging in one's life. It's taken me a lot of years to come to terms with this kind of knowledge. I've carried this around for a long time. So I'll say to you, if it bothers you too much, let it go. Even put it in your mind that I'm a disinformation agent, if you will, and it's not going to happen. And that way, if you just want to go back into the matrix and have your happy little time, then that's fine. But know that this is pending, it's looming, it's inevitable. So at some stage down the track, we are going to go through this process of letting go of this level of reality. Because if you don't ever let go, you're forever going to be perpetuating entrapment.
Oh, there is a verse in the Bible, and I cannot remember where it is, and I'm going to be paraphrasing very terribly. But it's something along the lines of, when this occurs, pray that your flight not be in winter, that you are with small children. And one of the things that I said to David is, I wanted to be a grandmother so badly, and my children are 25. I have twins, a boy and a girl. They're 25. My son is in Alaska. My daughter is living in D.C. She works for AT&T in a good corporate position, and my son's in the military, and he's actually getting out because he's been standing up against the military because he's starting to figure it out without mama. And so both of them, though, are very intuitive and are very knowing. And so they're figuring things out on their own, and which is awesome.
Yeah.
But I used to feel sad, like, they're 25 years old. Neither one of them are really going down the path of grandchildren or whatever. And then I was like telling David, I was like, thank goodness, and I hope they don't, because I don't, I just, with the people that have small children, that have grandchildren, I understand that that's your experience. I just have experienced so much pain, so much tragedy in my life. I don't, I have a role to play right now that it doesn't accommodate that. And if those were incorporated, I don't even know what I would do, because that would be so traumatic for me. I don't want to be responsible for little ones right now, because it alters so many things.
Well,
And
our
if I,
responsibilities have changed. For me personally, I've got my sons that I'm still responsible for in a way. And, I haven't played the role as a father that I would have liked to have played because of this greater responsibility I have. I've made a huge sacrifice in my life, in my personal life, for me to fulfill my greater role here, which I hope people can sort of think about. They probably never even thought about that side of my life. So
no, well, yeah.
I say that we are now, for me, I'll tell you how I experience it. I now experience it that, I'm responsible for every man, woman and child on this planet. And even though they're responsible for their individual journeys, I'm one of the beings who created this reality. I'm one of the beings who created the galaxy. I'm one of the beings who created the solar system. I'm one of the beings who created this planet. And I'm one of the beings who created our genetic vessel called the Earth Human. I'm one of the beings who created this body. And I know people who are listening too are some of the beings who created this as well. So we have a different set of responsibilities. We know it. It's innate. It's inside of us. No one's told me about this. This is a knowing that I've had, that I'm here to do something quite significant in this world. And the reason why I'm here to do something quite significant in this world is not because of ego. It's because of my obligations and responsibilities as being one of the beings who has created this reality. Straight up, simple as that. Nothing fancy about it, nothing more or less about it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm agreeing with you, and I'm like, if I chose to have grandchildren coming in, man,
Cynthia has. She's over in New Zealand, and she's got a new grandson, Alexander Paul. What a beautiful man! He's one of my kin. Actually, I know that being deeply, and we got another one on the way. So technically, I'm a grandfather. I'm a step grandfather. Yeah, in Greek we call it papu. So I'm Papu George to the little boys. Yeah.
See, but but George, for me, it's like everything around parenting is such a sensitive thing for me because of the way that I grew up and then the way that I tried to parent my kids. It's kind of like I wanted a break from that because it's so painful to me. And I'm like, if I chose to go have grandchildren through this, it's okay, I'll take the responsibility, but I know that it's more pain. And I'm like, why would I do that to myself?
Yeah, but there's also a flip side to it. There's more of a blessing because the beings that are going to come into your life are actually here to support you energetically.
Oh, yeah. Awesome, yeah. I'll admit, though, I'm afraid. I'll admit that. I mean, I don't want to pretend like I'm so confident. I'm afraid because I've hurt so much that I just don't want to hurt like that again. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard to hurt like that.
But you'll be in a different capacity when the, I'm going to use that expression, when the proverbial poo hits the proverbial fan on the planet. We're going to be in a different capacity.
Yeah.
So the pain that you've experienced in the past was how you were constructed in the past. Now you're evolving as a being yourself. So your capacity to deal with that situation will have transformed.
That's good. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. And I'm sharing this because people who are listening to this need to know that about themselves.
Yeah. No, thank you, because that's really been huge for me because, I had regrets about my children. I mean, we have a great relationship and we're very close, but I do also know that I was a wounded parent, and most of us are wounded parents. Most of us are,
Me too.
And so we just continue to transfer it, and I felt like, wow, at least with my children that I've been able to acknowledge these things, and I'm thinking, well, I've owned it. I've communicated it with them. I've apologized. We've reconciled. We've got a great rapport. And so I'm like, they'll be better parents than I was or my parents were because I kind of broke a cycle in acknowledgement and reconciliation. But then I was kind of like, now I'm free.
Yeah.
don't bring grandchildren into the mix, because you know.
It'll all
But
balance out.
yeah, but I do get what you're saying, and that's just a fear of mine, because I have such an emotional, deep heart for people that, goodness, a grandchild, it's going to be huge for me.
Yeah. So for all the people who just heard about, the way you see this physical reality winding up and Mother Earth really not wanting it, if you understand the hero's journey, like really understand the hero's journey, the actual archetypes involved, I suggest people look into it, because we're all heroes here, and that includes Mother Earth. She's a major hero in this whole process, a major sacrificial archetype, and what it means to be the martyr. Yeah, what usually happens to martyrs. Yeah. Martyr being the mother. We also got to realize, martyr and matter. Yeah, exactly.
You saw my face.
Yeah. We only just stuck the camera back on, didn't we? So really, it's she said to me, I need to pass. I need to die. As you see me, as you know me, I need to experience the death process. Just like your egos are experiencing the death process too. So she says, when it comes to the point in time, how is it that your atoms, your cells and your atoms, and then going down into, we're going to go beyond this DNA code. The DNA code is another bombshell. The DNA code is the computer-generated program that is running your genetics. It is not what you think it is. You are not the DNA. The DNA is the poisonous computer code that has been created to program your genetic chamber.
I concur.
So we go well beyond the templates of DNA, down into the templates of intention. And so when we go through this process of metamorphosis, we're going to do it physically. How is that going to feel? What's going to happen to us? Mother Earth is going to go through the same process.
Yeah.
So what's that going to look like? And when we're going in towards center, what's that going to look like for us? When she goes in towards center, what's that going to look like for her? We can go into the realms of imagination to try and get an idea of what that's going to be like. So far, we can't say this is exactly how it's going to be like, but we're getting closer. And to me, implosion seems to be the feasible explanation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more, again, confirmation and clarity always. I mean, when I talk to you, it's just confirmation and clarity.
Yeah.
So it's divine in my perspective. It's very divine. Thank you, George.
Thank you, sister. I've really appreciated it. I really, really, really do appreciate it. In every way possible. We always seem to have the most magnificent conversations and dialogue and sharing and exchanges. So it's truly a beautiful thing. And I know we're helping you, the listener, as well. You who's listening on the other end of this dialogue. This really is, it's not just about myself and Patricia. It's about you. It's about you too. We're having this beautiful dialogue conversation, and we're sharing with you because we know in our deep underlying love that we have for you, in our unconditional love as part of our human family, we're sharing this for you too. It's about you empowering yourself with this knowledge, implementing it into your life and changing your life for the better. We love you. Our love for you is eternal. It will always be there. You can curse us, you can call us names, you can judge us, you can laugh at us, you can persecute us, ridicule us. I'll always love you no matter what.
And the same here. I feel the same. I mean, even in setting your boundaries, it's love. It's love for the experience. It's love for the person to allow when you set your boundaries, you set it for your protection. You also set it for
love
their
of self.
protection.
Setting boundaries is love of self in that moment.
It's love of self, but it's also love of their experience. You have to let other people have their experience. So it's still an act of love, a selfish act and an unselfish act combined to me. Because you're not invading their space in that moment. You're allowing them to be as well.
Yeah. So nobody has to go where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I'm headed in a particular direction, and I just suggest that you go where you need to go. And I'm talking into the microphone, not at Patricia at the moment. For you who's listening on the other end, you go where you feel you need to go. That's your journey through this universe. We love, we honour, and we respect your soul and your soul's journey. And if you do happen to be achieving completion at this time, and you do end up joining us where we're headed, because it seems like we're headed in the same place. We might not in the end, but at the moment it looks like we're heading in the same direction. Then that'll be a wonderful thing. It'll be a beautiful thing. And if you don't, then we'll catch up with you some other time further down the journey in this universe. It'll be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Have a good old laugh about things.
Yeah, me too. All right, George, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Patricia. Big hug, sister.
Thank you.
All right. Till next time. See you, everybody.